we're in the category of critical minerals. There's critical minerals and there's rare earths. And so the public really needs to understand there's a significant distinction. Critical minerals, as an antimony producer, we're #1 on the DoD's critical mineral list. And the problem is there is no antimony today being mined in either the United States or Canada. It all has to come from international sources. We were all getting, every country in the world was getting most of their antimony from China. China controls 65% of world antimony ore, the raw ore in the ground, and they control 85% of the downstream processing, which is what we do. So fortunately, we're in a position of having a smelter in Montana and one in Mexico, which makes us the only 2 operating smelters for antimony in North America. And therefore, as you said earlier, we're getting a lot of attention from the U.S. government. They want us to expand our operation. I think I read a report in April. We only have like a 5% supply in our stockpile. So we're trying to ramp up our business to meet this critical need. And as Joe said, there's no question that antimony is needed by the military. It's used predominantly, as he said, in bullets, but it's also used in laser-guided missile, night vision cameras, night vision binoculars, and what have you. So it's a very necessary element for the military.
Hey, Joe Deaux, come on back in here. We heard from Gary just now that the antimony mining is not done here in the U.S. or in Canada. Is it possible to do it here in the U.S.? Do we have the material to mine it? It's just not done for environmental reasons. It's not done because we don't have the mineral rights to it, or the companies don't have the mineral rights to it. Like, why has this been moved to China? I understand from a processing perspective why that's happened with rare earths.
Yeah.
But with a critical mineral like antimony, why is that not happening here?
Well, I mean, I think you go to deposits, you know, how good is the deposit, and you can pull it out of the ground, and then who can process it? And this is a question that I have talked about now quite a bit with Gary over the last few months. And, you know, Gary, I think you're better positioned to talk about that to an investor class. I mean, you know, you talked to your investors yesterday on your earnings call, and they asked you about the potential of beginning mining in the United States anytime soon. And you effectively told them probably it's not going to happen anytime soon. So where is kind of the upside here?
We've been working on acquiring leases in both Montana and Alaska. We've acquired close to 30,000 acres of property in Alaska, and we've taken over the mountain area where our smelter is. It used to be an area that we mined some 20 years ago. So it's coming. Right now, we're held up by permitting. We filed permits in Alaska back in May. And so getting back to your question, why isn't this being done? The EPA and the federal government, whether it be the Forest Service, the BLM, native tribes, everybody tried to stop mining in the United States. And unfortunately, our laws allowed that. And that's why you see mining occurring all over the world except the U.S. It's coming back. And there's no doubt this administration is very pro-mining. And we have the resources. There's no question that we can meet the demand for the United States with just our Alaska properties. We have no doubt about that. And that's going to happen soon. I would think in the next 30 days, we'll be able to bring our first loads of antimony by truck from Alaska to our facility in Thompson Falls, Montana.
Gary, how would you describe the conversations now with members of the Trump administration with this government versus your conversations during the Biden administration? How are they different?
Well, we started talking to the Department of Defense back last September. This was right when China banned all antimony sales to any country in the world. And of course, our Department of Defense was getting all their antimony from China. So it raised a lot of red flags. And we've been negotiating various agreements and contracts with the Department of Defense and the DLA since that period of time. As we mentioned on the call yesterday, we're very close, we think, to announcing some things. It's not done yet. But there's definitely a mindset change, addressing your question, from the Biden administration to the Trump administration. For instance, we'll have to respond to a request from the DOD, and they say, can you have it to us by Friday? We give it to them Friday, 5 o'clock, and by 8:30 Monday morning, we have a red line response. It's not very often you see the government working over the weekend. So there's no question this is a high ticket item with our existing administration, and there's a fire been lit.
Gary, despite the fact that you're getting a lot more attention from the Trump administration and they seem to be speeding things up, I'd still ask, what is the holdup? And I know this was a big question you got on the call yesterday with investors. They kind of seem to be saying, when are you going to get some sort of announcement from the government? What's going on?
We're in a period where contractual changes are being made. There was an open comment period with respect to the DLA that ended actually yesterday afternoon. So I'm very confident we're near the finish line, but it has taken an inordinate amount of time. And there's been a lot of reasons that I can't really talk about today for that delay. But we have to make sure that whatever contract or whatever agreement we sign with the government is beneficial to our shareholders. In the first drafts, we're not. And so we had to make sure that we negotiated as best we could to maximize the value for our shareholders, but also give the federal government a fair trade. We pay taxes, we know, and so that was very necessary.
Forgive me if I missed this, but is the agreement that you might be working out with the government akin to what we saw with MP Materials, which has a $400 million equity investment by the Department of Defense into the company? And we know that MP Materials is certainly working specifically in the rare earths materials area. So could it possibly be that the government, DOD, makes an equity investment in you guys as part of an agreement so that you can do what you need to in terms of ramping up either production or your facilities? So
obviously that's on the table, I think, with us as well as a lot of other companies. I think we're in a little bit unique position in that we have a $450 million market cap. We have our own cash. We have our own capital. We need, more of a big brother than a huge capital investment. Now, as we ramp up this year and do the things that we've told the public we plan on doing and the DOD, I think there's a very good chance in 2026, if we want to do another smelter, if we want to do another project, we also are involved in tungsten and cobalt, two other critical minerals, then those type of opportunities exist. But what we're negotiating today and have been for the last 8 months is something different. It's very positive for our company, but it's not a direct investment by the government.
Gary, I want to kind of bring people into what's at stake here, or at least what is being said is at stake. As you mentioned, the Chinese officials put an export control on antimony, which came well after the germanium and gallium that so many people talked about a couple years ago. Have you guys experienced any of these effects of export controls on antimony from China?
Yes, unfortunately, we have. We were acquiring material from a company out of Australia, and we were taking that material, they're 55-ton container loads, to our smelter in Madero, Mexico. And that particular, this third load that we had acquired was transloaded over in China in April. And the Chinese customs confiscated our container, took it off the ship, and held it for 90 days, gave us no reason. All the paperwork was correct. It had been paid for. And we finally had to get the State Department and the White House involved. For some reason, finally, they released it. It showed back up in Australia, did not come to us. They sent it back to Australia, arrived there about 3 or 4 days ago. It's currently on a ship to Mexico now. So from now on, obviously, whoever we buy antimony from, we're putting in our contracts, they cannot stop in China because China did this for whatever reason. We know this company used to sell antimony to China. Maybe they were mad. The fact that it said U.S. antimony on it maybe ticked them off. I don't know. But they definitely made a statement with what they did.
We're speaking with Gary Evans, Chairman and CEO of United States Antimony Corp. Also with us, U.S. economic statecraft reporter Joe Deaux.
Gary, a follow-up on that. I mean, what does this really say? Should people actually be concerned? I mean, eventually your antimony is getting to you here and at your Mexico location. Are we sounding too many alarm bells on this front?
I don't think so. I doubt in our lifetimes we'll ever see antimony coming out of China again. We know their largest mine was depleted last year.
Ever?
And so, ever. I don't think we'll ever see antimony coming out of China. There is truly a worldwide shortage of this product. It is so difficult for us to find product. That's why we went and started mining it ourselves. There's just not any supply.
Presidents love to talk about energy independence. It doesn't matter if they're Democrats or Republicans. Do we get to a point where they can talk about antimony independence and we can get 100% of what the U.S. needs from U.S. supplies?
I have no doubt that we can meet all the needs of our government as well as our industrial customers from Canada, the United States, and Mexico. We don't need to go anywhere else.
When will we be able to do that?
In the next 3 to 5 years. It's not going to happen overnight.
You know, in the last few years, you would have said Canada, United States, and Mexico, and I would have thought, okay, that could work. These countries can all work together. But over the last few months, we've seen trade tensions flare, especially with our neighbors to the north and our neighbors to the south. How does that affect the way you look at the industry and your own business?
No question that, you know, Mexico has a new president. She's very anti-mining. Fortunately, the mines that we have in Mexico are grandfathered, but, you know, there needs to be greater collaboration. Now, the DOD looks at Canada just like it was the United States. So any project we find up there, the DOD likes it and looks at it as a domiciled country.
Yeah,
Great. Is that as a separate country or because they want to take it over?
Well, you know, the 51st state, of course, is what I'm talking about.
No, I'm just. So you're saying relations between the two nations are comfortable, and they, despite what we have in the headlines, you're saying that they are working and cooperating because they understand they kind of need each other.
Yeah, well, Canada needs antimony just as bad as the United States needs antimony, and Canada is a very pro-mining country. So that's why we have a lot of activities, like I mentioned, in tungsten and cobalt in Canada.
Gary, these conversations you have with defense officials, how dire are they indicating to you that the antimony shortage is for them?
When you see the announcements we'll be making, you'll understand it's pretty dire.
Can you give us?
We have the lowest. Yeah. We have the lowest amount of antimony supplies in the inventory for our government since World War II. You got to remember, we're funding Israel, we're funding Ukraine, and we've dwindled our supplies. And at the same time, China cut us off. So it's a double-edged sword. People are waking up that, hey, we have a problem.